Hi everyone, it's Tory and we have Chef Joey here.
Hi everyone.
Joe, what are we making today?
So we're making something simple and unique dessert today. That's an olive oil cake, one of my favorites.
Awesome, I'm really excited. I love sweets, not that I eat them a bunch. So let's get started, right?
Okay, so what I already did was measure out our flour, our baking soda and baking powder and sugar that we're gonna sift. If you're looking for this recipe, it comes from the Mozza Cookbook by Nancy Silverton. Gotta give her a shout out. She comes up with some great stuff. You can find it at any of your Barnes and Nobles or online bookstores.
But we modified it a little bit, right?
Yes, we did. For all you dairy-free people, we are doing a dairy-free version.
Awesome.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna first take our dry and we're gonna sift it.
Oh, wow.
The reason why you sift stuff is to get more of an ultra-fine batter, less lumps and stuff.
Oh, nice. So do you recommend always sifting or just like...
No, if you're in a hurry, you don't have to sift. It's fine.
Got it.
Because there's a part in this recipe where it says you need to sift again.
Oh, okay.
But I'm probably not going to because a lot of the goodies are in there and you don't want to. Plus it helps, like, let's say someone accidentally dropped something in the sugar or in the flour that probably shouldn't be there, or something happened at a refinery.
Got
You
it.
don't know, so you always want to sift.
Oh, I am terrible with these camera angles. Sorry, everybody. What other ingredients do we have over here, Joe?
We have olive oil by Aqua Oleum.
Look at all this olive oil, this liquid gold we got.
For this recipe, you want to use a very premium, fine, extra virgin olive oil for that because that's going to be the main flavor of this cake. And it's also your supplement for butter. Typically when you make cakes and stuff, you want to do butter or some hydrogenated oils. But for this one, you're going to do olive oil.
Okay, so this recipe doesn't have butter,
No
dairy. Cool.
Technically, this recipe calls for regular milk, but we're substituting that for a dairy-free version.
For me. Awesome. Cool. So we have you're doing that. We have the olive oil, we have the milk, and then...
This does call for eggs.
Okay.
Which we do have eggs.
Okay.
And the recipe also calls for orange, which you can also do lemon if you want, or lime, or any citrus flavor as long as you get the zest. I'm substituting for blood orange because I enjoy blood orange more and I feel like it gives it a better flavor note or more unique and distinct. It's okay if I dump the rest of this because it's just sugar and there's nothing else in there.
So really like the sifting was to kind of like break down the flour a little bit more.
Yes, and make sure there's no clumps.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so what I'm going to do to this flour, my dry ingredients, I'm going to add the blood orange zest.
Okay.
And then I have some chopped rosemary, about 2 tablespoons that I pre-chopped.
Yeah, it's always so fun watching you chop up herbs because like I feel like I can never do it just like you guys. You know how you do it so fast. You got like the knife going.
If you keep doing it over time, it shouldn't take long and you'll pick up speed. So I'm going to add the zest.
And are you adding the zest of like the whole orange or just like a part of it?
Yes, I'm going to do the whole orange. I'm doing it to where I'm only getting the zest of it. I'm not getting the white part because if I get the white part of the orange and bake it, it's going to become a little bitter, which is something you don't typically want to do.
Yeah, I'm notorious for getting too excited with the zesting and then I'm like, oops, there's a little bit of white there.
It's okay if you want to go full steam ahead, but just pay attention to what you're doing.
Okay. Wow, I really wish you guys were here. The orange smells so good right now.
And what you could do with the leftover orange, since we're only using the zest, you could use something to help accompany the cake, like a poached pear and wine, or some bourbon, or whatever you're feeling like.
Gotcha. Or if you remember our other video with the salad where we used the blood orange supremes, you could take this leftover orange and use that there.
You could. So you want to be thorough and make sure you get all the zest and not leave any behind because that's your flavor besides the olive oil in this cake. and it's really going to give you floral as well as citrusy flavor.
I know, oh my gosh, it smells amazing, guys, right now. I really wish you were here.
So the reason why I have it backwards instead of going like this is because I'm making sure I'm not getting the white part like I described earlier.
Oh, and see, I normally do the other way, and I just go to town. I'm like, let's get all of the zest.
I typically do that too, but I also, since we're baking this, I want to make sure I'm not getting a white part.
But like,
when it's something serious and I know I'm cooking it, I don't want any of the white parts, so I try and be thorough.
Gotcha, but like if it was, I don't know, for something that wasn't, you know, like this cake where it needs to be exact, if you got a little bit of white, it would be okay?
Yeah, if you got a little bit of white, it's okay. It's not the end of the world.
Okay.
But with baking, you always kind of want to be thorough, so.
Okay, so, everybody, it looks like this. So this looks really pretty. It kind of looks like, I don't know. I love the orange and the rosemary together. Great colors.
So what I typically like to do when I'm baking stuff, especially with my dry ingredients, I like to, especially this, you're supposed to mix the dry ingredients so that's what I'm doing. I got my rosemary.
And so like I typically use a fork. You recommend using a whisk?
I would do a whisk since we're not using the mixer. I mean, okay. You can do this in a mixer, but I like doing this by hand with a whisk because that's what I've just typically done. But if you have bad arm problems or hand problems and you can't whisk something for a long period of time, that's fine using the mixer.
Okay, yeah, I'm noticing it's like all on the wrist for you.
Yep.
These motions.
Okay, so kind of like with pasta, what you want to do is you want to make a well.
And you just mixed it until it was all together, right? It's not like you don't want to overmix this?
I mean, with the flour overmixing, it's just a flour. It's not really going to do anything. How I add the eggs and stuff, then that's when you want to.
Gotcha.
So clearly I'm not doing a great job with the whisk of making a well, so I'm going to use my hands. And if you've never made pasta before and don't know the well technique, is basically you leave room for your wet ingredients.
Okay.
So that way you can kind of see that in the bowl. That way there's a well, so all your wet ingredients goes in here.
And why would you make a well? Like, what happens if you're like, oops, didn't make a well?
I mean, I would just be very careful and make sure that you're adding the stuff slowly, because you're wanting to slowly incorporate everything, so that way you're preventing chance of getting lumps and all that. I mean, realistically, it's okay if you just dump it all and whisk it together, and you just strain it all at the end.
Okay, so it's just like reincorporating everything like gradually over time. Okay, cool.
Okay, so I'm gonna set this aside for a second.
Okay.
Right here, we're gonna do our wet ingredients. We got our extra virgin olive oil, and to that we're gonna do 1.5 cups of our silk soy milk. If you're not a big fan of soy milk, you can use whatever dairy-free alternatives. I just recommend, because I did my own research on it, but according to it, soy has a high gluten. It's going to give you that nice golden brown texture, colored look that you want when you're baking. So this is my first time making it with dairy-free stuff, so we'll see how it turns out, and we'll give you guys feedback on it. But for the research I took yesterday, I'm going to go with that and just use some dairy-free soy milk.
But normally you would use milk.
Yes, normally I would use milk, and to that I would say whenever you're baking stuff, try and do whole milk and not 2%, because a lot of stuff that may say call for milk or recipe, it's okay if you do your 2% or whatever it may be. Like growing up, we did 2% milk, and I loved it. The taste didn't really matter to me, but you'll notice a difference in the fat content and
like the richness of
the flavor? Yes,
the
richness, the flavor, it adds that little extra oomph that you want. So
okay.
I'm gonna let Tori, she's gonna add the 1.5 cups of
oh my gosh, so much pressure. Okay, we got them. Oh, it wasn't even open. Look at that, first packaging, guys. Okay, so we need
1.5 cups.
Okay.
Some of you are wondering, hey, there is a difference between volume and weight measuring. This is technically weight measuring. It's not the end of the world.
Okay, so I can just dump it in?
Yes, just dump it in.
And then...
I will tell you right now, I have done weight measuring with liquids. It's not the end of the world. The product's still going to come out the same. Now, if you're doing something more intense where it specifically says liquid measuring, because you're measuring by volume, then I would say go for it. But something like this is not the end of the world. This is kind of foolproof.
Okay. Okay, so this is like, if you're like me and hate baking because of the exactness, I'm more of a cook. Like, this is a great little recipe for me, right?
But I do say follow the recipe to a T. Like I'm saying 1.5 cups, it may be by weight versus volume. I still recommend you do 1.5 cups and not 1 cup and 1/3 of a cup. Like, no, I'm saying
Okay.
do 1.5 cups.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so we just did
You just did 1.5 cups of soy milk.
the milk. And now what do we got?
We're gonna add 3 extra large eggs.
Okay. Let you do that.
Can you please open the trash?
Yep, got it.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Oh, there we go.
Make sure you don't get any shells.
Okay, and so for this recipe, you need both the yolk and the white?
Yes, you need
Okay.
the whole egg.
The whole egg, got it. Alright. We kind of made this here, that was all me.
And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna whisk the stuff together. Now, if you're wondering, is the taste gonna be different since you're not using whole milk or regular milk? I wouldn't know. I haven't tried yet. This will be my first time. We'll find out. But
I'm sure we'll taste
But
it.
I don't think there'll be a huge difference if you're a person that's like, hey, I don't like soy or I don't like this kind of flavored milk. Use whatever milk you want.
Okay, cool.
Just know the high protein content or richness or fatness in it may affect your dough a little bit. Or I'm sorry, not the batter.
Okay. So you're just making sure it's well incorporated?
Yeah, I'm just making sure it's well incorporated.
How do you know when it's well incorporated?
When it looks homogeneous, like this.
Okay, so when it looks like this, guys.
When it's not separated, we don't have your oil up here and your liquid down here, kind of like water and oil.
Okay, got it.
So now what we're going to do...
Kind of like the name of our olive oil. Well, I don't know. Okay.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly start moving this.
Do you want me to help you at
No,
all?
I got this.
Okay, got it.
Because I'm going to keep an eye on it.
All
and
right.
just slowly start drizzling this in.
Probably better that you're doing it than me. I'd like end up dumping the whole thing in. Oops.
And you can kind of see that I'm slowly getting...
Oh my gosh, I don't know that I could do this one-handed. Okay. Look at that.
Make sure you get everything out that you worked hard on.
Okay. Nice. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. I am so excited.
So I'm going to whisk this all till it's homogeneous and all together where you don't see any...
Clumps.
Well, not necessarily clumps, but also like make sure I don't see any dry spots where I see pockets of flour up on the sides. Like that's what I'm kind of like doing this, kind of folding it in.
Yeah, like no white. No clumps. Okay. Ooh, look at that. You could see. Now, let's say you don't have like rosemary or, I don't know. Would you recommend other herbs? Or
I mean,
like,
you could do thyme, that's fine, but you want something subtle.
so like you wouldn't be like put basil in, like too overpowering.
I mean, rosemary can be overpowering too. That's why you're only using a little bit. I would not use basil because the flavor of it's not necessarily going what you want for.
Okay.
Thyme may be a little too savory for you. Sage is going to be too savory. Rosemary's in between, like it's subtle, but it's also
good.
can be intense. Rosemary or thyme is going to be. It's hard for me to explain the flavor of it, what it's going to do, but I don't recommend.
Okay, I guess like you
If
could
you want-
always try it and
If
tell
you
us
want
what happens.
mint, you could do mint possibly, but I feel like this is a balance between your sweet and savoriness, so they go hand in hand.
Okay, so what if they only have dried herbs? Is that okay?
If they have dried rosemary, that's fine. The flavors will be a little different, but you typically want to try and get fresh if you can.
Okay, so, and I guess if you're worried, you could always do it without the herbs.
Yeah, if you want to just do a plain olive oil cake, that's fine.
Okay.
So I'm gonna hop back here and grab our tins that we have.
Okay. Well, we've been doing this. Does the oven need a preheat or anything?
Yes. The first thing you want to do before starting this recipe is preheat the oven, because so what you hear in the background, possibly if you're hearing it, is the convection oven going. That's what I typically work with in the restaurant, is a convection oven. And a lot of your recipes, I would specifically look at what it tells you, because it may not tell you convection, but if you have a convection oven, that's fine. All it's doing is circulating the air and making sure the air is a constant temperature of 350 degrees, but also know that it's going to cook the outside quicker than the inside, so just be wary of that. And if you don't have a convection oven, it's fine, don't freak out. Just be like, why isn't my thing done yet? It's been 25-30 minutes. Just know and realize that it may take a little longer than you want to make. So It's fine, just keep it at 350, just keep same time for like 5 more minutes or 10, and just take a little toothpick test to make sure it comes out nice and clean.
Okay, so you already like greased these pans, right?
Yes, I greased them, I cleaned them out. You can even do cast iron ones where you just spray with oil first, take a towel, rub it out, and then spray again.
Okay.
You can even use melted butter if you want, but I'm just using straight plain oil, so that way the flavor profile is plain. So I'm going to take a ladle
Okay.
to make sure I evenly.
Adjust our camera angles. Ooh, that's like all me. Not what we were wanting. I think that's what we do. Sorry guys, I'm not the best camera person.
So you're going to want to fill this up 3/4 of the way. Yep.
Okay, and that's just allowing it to bake and rise?
Yes.
Okay.
You can use an ice cream scoop or a scoop if you want. I'm using a ladle.
Okay, so just don't dump this like straight into the...
I mean, if you're doing a big cake round, you can just dump it in, that's fine.
Okay. Good. Will this be easier if I turned it for you?
Sure. If you want to turn straight.
Straight? Okay.
So, if you want, you can strain this again to make sure that there's really no lumps. I am not doing that since I'm worried the rosemary may go out and all that hard working of that zesting we did
Okay, so that's
would go away.
just an extra step, but you don't have... Like,
Yeah.
you wouldn't normally do that. Wouldn't
No,
you?
I would.
Oh, okay.
It just depends, like you may have a too fine of a mesh strainer and then all of a sudden all your hard work of zesting and chopping the rosemary and orange. Just leave it alone, leave it alone.
Okay, I was gonna turn it again.
Nope.
Okay,
No, no.
got it. Okay. A little too helpful over here. Alright, so... Okay, is this one of those batters that needs to like sit or anything?
You can set it in the refrigerator and let it sit for a little bit, but you don't have to.
Okay. Okay.
And
What are you
then
gonna...
we're gonna clean this off a little bit.
Oh, do you want this?
Yeah.
Okay. Show you what he's doing.
It's okay if you have excess on the sides. You just take a towel, paper towel that you're gonna toss and just clean off the edges a little bit.
Okay.
And then we're gonna throw away.
Alright.
And then we're gonna take this and put it in the middle of the rack of your oven, so that way you get a nice even.
Hey guys, here is it baking, the olive oil cake baking in the middle rack like Joey specified. Okay, so Joe just put the cakes in the oven, and then you have about 30 minutes for it to cook more or less. So it's a really good time to do any dishes. I know you love doing that. I surely did. So it's a good time to do some dishes and get those out of the way. But Joe, you also wanted to show us something else fun that we could do with the cake?
So what you could do if you're doing a party or doing a nice dessert, something like this for after dinner. If you have some pears or apples you want, you can take some, I've actually made this cake before and I've done it with some poached pears and red wine, which I'm going to kind of do. So here I got some of the leftover Bosch pear that we had from that one video where we did a salad.
Okay.
I got sugar in here and I got a little bit of salt. In it, I'm going to add a little bit of white wine. I'm sorry, not white, red wine.
Okay, and why do you add salt? That's so crazy. I would not think to add salt.
So the reason why I'm only adding enough just to cover it, that may be too much red wine. The reason why you add salt to sweet things is because it's like if you ever ate a cookie, at least this is what was told me in pastry class, if you ever ate a cookie and it's just straight up sugar, you get them like too sweet, too you need a little bit of balance. So adding a little bit of salt to things, that's why anytime I do pastry or something, I always add a little bit of salt if it doesn't call for it. And some recipes may not tell you to put some salt in it, but you need to put some salt in it. So I always add a little bit of salt to things with sweet to kind of balance it out.
Okay, so add salt to balance
so it's not
the
overly
sugar.
sweet.
Got it. Okay, so now what are we gonna do?
I'm gonna put this on the stove and let it reduce. So I have this on medium-high heat.
Okay.
And when it's done, when it's close to being done, I'm gonna add a little bit of blood orange zest to it.
Oh, more blood orange zest.
No, I'm sorry, not blood orange zest, the juice. So anytime you do anything with citrus in it, you always want to add close to the end because if you don't, you're just gonna lose all the flavor and the whole point of the citrus to bring a little extra flavor out.
Okay.
So I have this going on medium-high heat. I'm gonna let it reduce.
Look at that. And so you just literally, like, while I was cleaning dishes, you just, like, cut it up. So it's like this, you just want to get it cut up with the sugar and the salt. So it's, like, nothing fancy.
No. And in here, I would add, like, some fresh herbs maybe. Also cinnamon, a little clove, which is some of your...
cinnamon or cardamom?
Some of your winter flavors.
Oh, my gosh. Cinnamon or cardamom would be amazing in this. Okay. And what happens if you don't have red wine, like what you're, so normally you always use red wine, or could you use like white, or could you use something else?
Typically a classic combination with something like an olive oil cake or something like this is, or I'm sorry, not with the cake, but with pears and poached apples and stuff, is typically red wine. You could use a white wine, but for this case I like the flavor, the bitterness, the hardiness and earthiness of the flavor from white wine.
Okay, and also because we're in winter.
If you don't have red wine, I recommend possibly a cider, a hard cider. You do bourbon if you really want.
All right, so like more or less, like how long should we be waiting for this?
Till essentially they're softened, which could be depending on the temperature you have and how quickly it's reducing down. It could be anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. It just depends.
Oh,
maybe longer. I typically just let it go and just walk away, do other things, but also keep an eye on it.
Okay, so got it. So what you're telling me right now is that, like, you could cut this up, like you could cut the pear and like put it all together, and while it's cooking, then go clean up or just like, I don't know, go do laundry or something else.
Yes, but don't leave the area. Like you have fire going, you want to be cautious. Like what I'm saying is typically when I'm in the kitchen and I'm making stuff like at a restaurant or something like that, I'm not away from things like I'm checking up, but I'm doing other...
Okay, you could like run off for a second, but don't just like...
Yeah, because you may burn the house down, don't even know.
Okay, well we don't want to do that. Okay, cool. So we're just going to hang out here and watch this until they get soft, and then we'll come back and fill you guys in on next steps. Hey guys, so we're waiting on the pears, we're waiting on the cake, but it's been like, I don't know, like almost 20 minutes with the cakes in the oven, so I thought I'd give you guys a shot. So, even the dog has come over to say hi and smell all the things. So, right here we have the cakes. You'll see in the middle are the cakes that we made, and then the ones on the top were the leftover that we had. Something else that you guys can do while you're waiting for the cakes and you're waiting on the pears, if you decide to do that or the other, fruits is that you can also make some whipped cream. We're not going to do that today, but that's definitely something that you can do as well as a topping.
So since this is close to being done, I'm adding the blood orange juice.
Look at that. Looks delicious. Okay. And this isn't something that like necessarily needs to be like pre-measured out? Or... Alright, look at all that goodness. That looks like...
Because the measurement is just one orange.
Got it. That looks like fall in a pan. Yummo. Alright, so that's cooking down. And then you're also adding...
So to thicken this up, I'm going to add a little bit of cornstarch. So you make a slurry with a little bit of cornstarch and a little bit of water. Always bring it to a boil when you add it, so that way it thickens quick and you don't get any clumps.
Okay. And that's called a slurry?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I feel like we're getting educated on cooking terms here.
So you can see it's starting to thicken up really quick.
Oh yeah, look at that. I mean, it's definitely thickening. That almost looks like jelly consistency.
If it looks too thick, add a little bit of water. I'll help thin it, or a little bit of whatever liquid you want.
Okay.
So yeah, there's your quickly poached pears.
So we're just gonna let this hang out until the cake's are ready?
Yeah.
Okay, and they have, I don't know, a couple more minutes. You checked them with a toothpick to see if they were... Yeah. The timer just went off, so now we're gonna see if these cakes are ready to go. Also, during the commercial break, I tried a pear, and it's really delicious. I'm excited. Look at this goodness. So, they just came out of the oven, and you said to wait a couple minutes, right? Before, okay. But we're gonna show you how to plate one up now.
Okay, so I have one of the cakes here.
Okay.
We're gonna cut the end off essentially so it stays flat, because if I play it like this, it's gonna look kind of wobbly and not cute on the plate.
Okay, cool.
So with this,
and it just popped right out when you took it out.
Yeah,
right?
you typically want to wait a couple minutes.
Look at this, guys. Doesn't that look so good? Ooh, look at all the steam coming out. Okay, sorry.
So typically you want to let it sit a couple minutes, because if you don't, it may, when you're pulling it out or trying to get out, it may go wobbly already, or you get half of what you worked hard on.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna take the plate, we're gonna just put it on the center of the plate.
Mm-hmm. Really, really good.
And you can't even taste the soy.
Okay, so they came out of the oven, and then you're gonna show us how to plate them.
Yes. So I'm gonna take some of the poached pears and the wine and the little sauce we made. I'm just gonna kind of like have it come out nice.
Oh my gosh, it smells so good. Also, I was eating some of the bottoms of the cake. It's super deadly. Like, don't have any of that laying around, because I will just eat it all. So Joe, you were saying that this would also be good to pair with like powdered sugar or ice cream. We couldn't find any powdered sugar, but I mean, go crazy. This is your dish. Oh look! Oh my gosh, making that so nice, Joe. Oops. Okay, so this is the finished product?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what that looks like, just for reference. Thank you. And I don't know, I'm thinking for Valentine's Day, this would be really fun. So look at that. See all the steam coming out.
And if you want to go an extra, if you don't think there's enough olive oil, just take a little bit of olive oil.
Okay, so Joe just put a little olive oil around.
If you didn't feel like there was enough,
you can really see it in that. Look at all the colors. I mean, that is like fall in a plate, I feel like. Okay, awesome. Well, so can we try it now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Oh my gosh, look at this, guys. This looks amazing. I mean, this was already good without all the pears and everything, but now this is like probably gonna be like a party in my mouth. Okay, it's really hot.
No, you don't have to serve it hot. You can do a little bit cold or room temp, but I prefer my cakes and certain stuff to be hot.
This is so good. I'm gonna have to work out like twice as hard tomorrow. It's really good. I get the flavors of the orange are really coming through. That blood orange is really, it's really good. So yeah, really good. I need to stop eating. This is so good, like I said. But either way, guys, we really hope you enjoyed today's segment. And like, let us know what you think. And for sure, like, I don't know, try this out, and it could be fun for just like a weekend date night, special occasion, or not. But either way, have fun, and thanks for checking us out.
Now, one more thing I just remembered. If you do want to not like throw away or taste the ends that we cut off, what you could do is just chop them up real nice. They're the little chunks, that's fine. Pop them in the oven, get them a little crispy, and you get a little crispy crunch texture you can put on top of whipped cream or ice cream and stuff.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so like basically this is a win-win. Like there is no losers in this cake. All right, well, thanks guys. Hope you enjoyed it. See you around.